Hello again. Now let's see how we can create a mesh out of a spline using the shell modifier. So let's go into our Shapes tab and let's create a rectangle. Now just by applying the shell modifier, I'll be able to create a solid out of this spline. And I can just play around with the outer amounts. Now if I wanted to and let's hide the shell. And now if I wanted to subtract or create a subtraction just like we've been doing with the booleans, but in a simpler way, I would just go to my positive icon and you can see that I have this start new shape. So I'm just going to deselect while selecting my rectangle and I'm going to draw some more splines here. So let's see if I create a circle and also a rectangle. And now if I select this, you can see that this spline, it's one single element. So if I go to my modifiers and within the edit spline, I can pick this spline or pick these geometries and move them around. I can also just copy them by holding shift and copy them like so. So if I go back to my edit spline and apply the shell modifier again, you can see that this has created these voids. And I can go back to my spline and maybe just grab this circle, and with my shift key I can copy it around. Alright, so let's put this new method into practice. I'm just going to go to my front view. I'm going to create a rectangle. And this rectangle, if I go to my modifiers and then my parameters, I'll just give it some dimensions. I'm going to type in a 200 centimeters by 300 centimeters. And maybe let's just add some width to this to 500 centimeters. So let's pretend that this is going to be my wall. And inside this wall, let's unselect the start new shape so that we can draw inside of this geometry. Start applying some new voids here, which will represent a window. So let's pick our vertex just by pressing 1. Don't forget that. And I'm just going to be creating this vertical contemporary windows. And also I'm going to copy them. So shift. Now the bad thing about this method is that if we wanted to copy this spline multiple times, we're not going to get the settings out. So we're going to have to do it manually. Okay, now let's go back to our edit spline and let's just maintain a fixed distance in between them, more or less. Doesn't have to be perfect for now. Alright, something like this. And let's just grab all of these and move them more to the center point. And okay, now let's move to our perspective mode and add a shell modifier. Let's say that this wall is going to have around 15 centimeters in thickness. Now let's convert this to our edit poly. We can start creating some window frames. So we know how to create a shape out of edges. And it's a good method to create window frames really fast. So let's pick the edges. And if I double click, I can just ring them. And let's just select all of the outer edges like so. So what I'm going to do with this is that I'm going to turn them into a shape. So if I go to my edit edges, I have this option create shape. But I'm not going to just click on it, but I'm going to go to its settings and I'm going to tell it that I want a linear because you saw what happened if I go for smooth. So I'm just going to hit OK. Now let's get out of our options there and let's move to the editable spline. And now again, I'm going to use the same method that I've been using. So I'm going to enable in viewport and then rectangular. And I can just play around with the length and width values. All right, now I'm just going to push them inside my void like so. And there we go. Here are my window frames. And just to add one more detail to this, I can just duplicate them by holding shift and bringing them outside. I'm just be copying them for now. And if I go to my rendering tab and unselect the enable in viewport, I'll have the splines back again. And now what I can do is just give them a shell modifier to make them solids. And right now I don't want any outer amount, but the best method to turn these into surfaces is by deleting the shell and actually convert them into edit polys. Okay, so you can see that they're acting as a single element, which is fine. So if I bring them in here, I'll just have my glass, my window frames, and my wall. So as easy as that, we can create a wall with windows and all the details. Now if I wanted to keep on editing this and add some extra window frames, I would just grab these edit polys and select all of the vertical edges and connect them with our edit edges option. So I'm going to my settings and maybe just create 2 more lines here and click OK and convert them into shape. Create shape from selection, hit the linear option and OK. Now these guys are too thick, so let's just give them a thickness of around 3 centimeters like this. And now we can select all of them and bring them back inside. To be a bit more precise, we can go to our top view and change this perspective view to orthographic. Now hit the F3 key so that we can put them right in the center there. Alright, so that's the way you could do a window. Now you can try your own method. We've seen multiple methods. You can also try and do a box, then just slice it with the connect option and create some voice like so. And then out of the splines, you can create meshes by using the rendering method. So that's it for this lecture. I hope you enjoy it. Goodbye for now.